what's up? So, in terms of my work on PSYOP and PSYOP implementations, in reference to my projects that I've already disclosed to a few people, largely quite ironically, that Jewel Osco that I went to, I disclosed it there, and at the one on Irving Park, Six Corners, I was speaking about it very publicly for a while now. I basically, because that's the only reason anybody will bite. In reference to all that right now, basically I came to a park. Well, I was going somewhere else, but I decided to stop at the park prior to, and the only reason I did that is to observe stimulus, gather more data in terms of the PSYOP implementation. I'm largely working on another project that is basically a predecessor slash protege project to the way that this current one that they have here implemented is outdated and needs certain modifications. At the same time, the very elements that I'm talking about are by no means something that is created only by myself or by anyone in this given country. PSYOPs are implemented worldwide. As such, the ways that they relate to each other during a time of crisis globally is certainly worth bringing attention to. As far as my personal PSYOP objectives, there are none. It is basically a personality follow-up in terms of every single thing that has been implemented to this day in this country. For reference, I'm in the USA, though a lot of you already know that. Every single thing, every single element, every single color, every single decision, every single person, every single sound, every single elemental factor, every single decision, basically every subcategory, category, dominant category you could imagine plays a major role in terms of what PSYOPs are. Largely because psychology is everything that is directly linked to our societies. We operate on a psychological clock. Most would not recognize that, and so every single element, sound, etc., serves as a means to basically, I don't even know, it triggers some type of response. So right now, by me filming this very video in a public park, it will exhibit some response from everyone around me, and that's basically what we call in the psychology field data. And that's basically something that it's split into two different types of data, because there's two genders, although I know currently within the times that we live in, they're saying there's more than one gender. Although I highly doubt that, I do not contest the very fact. So there's a male and female, and so every single response that is elicited by either serves as a further data cluster in terms of what it is. Every single action begets a reaction, and every single decision has a outcome. Every single choice has a, and by no means is it a terms of a, what would you call it, a precedent or applicability in the general sense, though widely it is used to basically serve other agendas. As stated on many forums, there's currently a sleeper agent program that is being activated worldwide. Now, I have an opinion on that. So, you know how they're currently trying to ban, and this is where largely it already began, but so everybody gets triggered. Here's where the PSYOP begins now. So, as everyone's been made aware, TikTok is a worldwide used application for the sole purpose of sharing videos, dances, and all this shit. The current administration has a problem with that being a center of attention worldwide due to security, privacy, etc., clauses, breaches, all that stuff. So they're saying that we should ban that application, that here in the US we're not allowed to have it. I really don't see how that would actually be solving the problem, how that would actually be doing anything, because people would find an alternative. And as I stated, they're going to find an alternative, or they're going to fund an alternative, because that is the way things work. It's a global company. Here's a few distinctions I'd like to make. On that platform, you have the basic elements of PSYOP: music, sound, imagery, and video. Kind of like right now, what I'm doing. Like I said, PSYOPs are widely happening 24/7 and people don't even realize it. That goes for me. But as stated, when the subject becomes the director, or the director becomes a director within a director-based area. It's quite interesting, right? Even the color clothing that I chose to wear is indicative of something that I have no comprehension. It's very subconscious. The way that the intricacies of PSYOP elemental work and everything that goes on is highly sophisticated and unable to be discerned from the general implementations that are actually going on. Every single thing is very, very, very intricately interwoven. Precisely why I love psychology. Most people spend their entire lives trying to break the code of psychology, or they think that they have the code. And then in terms of genetic sequencing, then you come across something like genetic sequencing. And then it further adds another sub-layered strand in terms of the psychological applications, which makes it outdated, rendered almost incomprehensible, or in other words, obsolete, and major updates needed. That's basically how it works. In reference to the TikTok application, here's a few things I noticed. PSYOPs are going on no matter what, 24/7 on any part of the world. As far as the sleeper agent program goes, I'm not sure. But here's what I do know. And this is opinion based, so let me preface it by saying this part of the video is opinion based. On TikTok, you search, it'll show you what's hot in the area, what's like highlighted, what's basically, and this is for region, so even if you put in precise location, it'll give you what's going on globally, right? It'll give you the most viewed videos, etc. So yesterday I did a mini data analysis in which I largely through media affiliates, I was basically checking out videos, and I saw a few of the videos that were uploaded. Some were basically just, you know, women dancing in a suggestive manner. And I found it odd that it was sub-layered with musical elements. Although not that very odd, because that's what a video is, right? Maybe I've just been thinking in psychological terms for way too long. That's what a video is. You wouldn't have silent videos, or I mean, this isn't the past, right? Anyways, so on that commentary on that situation, what I find very interesting is the following. Every single country's videos that I saw, so I saw the South American countries' videos. Of course, they had women, very hot women, if I might add, and they were sub-layered with like Spanish music, some of them, or like other interrogation music such as pop. Then they had Chinese women also. They had Brazilian women. They had Belize women. They had basically every single thing you could imagine. That's any other like race, demographic. If I were to highlight each and every one, that'd be just doing way too much. As stated, this side will focus exclusively on every single language. Anyways, now let me switch over to the male side. As far as males, they would have all types of males. Basically, they would just be doing something. Some of the videos were basically promoting propaganda of said country. For political reasons, I will not delve into what the hell it was, because obviously the women were, you know, they were promoting something subconsciously. The males were obviously promoting flags and all this type of stuff. However, largely it is basically undiscernible in terms of what the hell is going on. So for that very reason, the president wants to ban TikTok, because I guess it exposes elements of the sleeper agent program to other countries. Though, if he's only relying on that one app, he's sadly mistaken, in the sense that all of our apps that we use are worldwide. So what good is it to ban an app that is region locked to, or not even region locked, is globally accessible, now that PSYOP has seen an increasingly different diaspora and turn of events? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any logical business sense. Sure as hell doesn't make any financial sense to the global economy or the entertainment industry, I would say, because that's what they are. They're small-time entertainers. You can't really classify them as anything other than, and I'm talking about the fan base, the people that make up this type of thing. So everyone that uploads a video on there, they're not exactly like actors, they're not exactly like famous, but they do get internet famous. And so that alone is basically what I'd like to bring it back to in terms of PSYOP implementations. every single way that and let me also preface it by saying that certain countries, I know the USA has propaganda legalized. I can't speak on behalf of another country, though I'm exclusively sure there's a set of principles and ways that they implemented in those videos. That said, is this why the sleeper agent program or all these psychological intricacies within our interwoven systems and foundations are now coming to light? I would say it is too late. Psychology is heading in one direction, or has been. Need I remind everyone that it was formed sometime in the 50s, the American Psychiatric Association, in accordance with the Canadian Psychiatric Associations, and that was largely what led to our current day splits in administrations, as well as rethinking it out. The 80s were a horrible time for the psychiatry industry, evidenced by the experiments and inhumane treatment of people, though that is still ongoing today. And it's basically extensively connected to these elements that I described therein. The sleeper agent program. If people don't fit a certain demographic, if people, they cannot read you, they cannot discern who you are, what you do, who you're affiliated to. And that is a very general broad term. So get this, a person who votes Republican one year, then Democratically another year, basically is, they take an interest in that and they're like, well, why would this person vote both ways, right? And that's reflective upon those people. So now when the tables turn is, well, why are you so focused on those people voting both ways? Now I'm focused, or we're focused on why you are focused on the focus of that focus. As stated, PSYOPs are very intricate. No set parameters. Psychology is one big experiment. Largely, the only successful experiments have always been at random. Because if you have, or you adhere to a set ideology or set principle or set method of thinking, you neglect other principles, foundations that could be integral to the advancement of said PSYOP principle or directorate. That said, in my country, psychology does not necessarily cooperate in terms of the way that they're implemented with other countries for obvious reasons. At the forefront being political, as well as national objectives, security, etc. at all. However, such as the times that we're heading in, it only makes sense to actually implement them in a way that is beneficial for all, not just one. What do I mean by that? PSYOPs are used widely across a variety of subject matters, and not just subject matters, political references, etc. at all. During the case of POWs worldwide, I think if we were to implement a better PSYOP program and really consider human rights overall and rethink the global economy and international affiliations and really come together, I think it would serve the country, the purpose of all countries, not just necessarily our own. And since we're part of the global economy, we're part of the global standings, that said, we're not neglected. So, in short, to bring the video to a conclusion in terms of that, PSYOPs are the most intricate of things. The call for a banning of TikTok because of psychological elements implemented therein is not surprising. The means by which PSYOPs are heading in a different direction, largely dependent on the input of everybody else, is to be expected and is now warranted and basically being asked of. The way that everything will be subject to change is the only thing that is assured during these times, such as during COVID. Every single thing is heading in one direction, and that is called progress. Most people define progress in their own country's affiliated terms or their own political objectives. At the very base, progress is basically the advancement overall, not actually taking a bias, not actually fitting a set demographic. That is what progress is. Try explaining that in one fucking video. That's why largely when I make my media now, I try not to have a bias and I try to view everything from the holistic perspective. Because when you do that, you don't become ignorant to the facts and you realize that there's more than one fucking element going on in society, especially in a democratic society where I live in the United States of America. Quick thing. There already is a sleeper agent program that is funded by unknown entities. And what it is basically a website in the form of psychologically damaging trigger materials. It's called sentimentalcorp.org. I highly advise everyone to check it out and click at random, because then you'll not only be participating in a live experiment, you'll also be finding things out about yourself you didn't even know. And at the same time, while those entities are like, oh, XYZ bit, okay, now focus. Well, then I say, you guys bit, now focus. You know what I mean? Everything is subject to change. So they bit. Well, they think that somebody else bit, they bit. And that's the most interesting aspect of it all. As stated, there are no set parameters. One big experiment, subject to change at any and all times. Voltaire out.